Hello, everybody. I'm Ed Robinson, and welcome to another exciting edition of At the Rim. This is the program that gets you caught up on anything and everything happening around the NBA. Coming up on this edition of the program, we recap the NBA All-Star Game and the weekend festivities. Also, I have comments on Jaylen Brown's criticism of the 65-game minimum rule and much more. Plus, we have the latest league leaders and standings as we get you ready for the second half of the NBA regular season. As always, I like to start off with my top three storylines. I like to start off talking about the city of Indianapolis. First off, the city of Indianapolis did a great job of hosting this weekend's, or should I say, this last weekend's NBA All-Star Weekend. Indianapolis, not just the city of Indianapolis, but the state of Indiana as a whole has a great history with basketball. Indiana is known as the Hoosier State, and there have been a lot of great champions to come, not just from Indianapolis, but also from the state of Indiana. So it's been a long time coming. I believe this was Indianapolis's first time hosting an NBA All-Star game since the mid-'80s. I think 84 or 85 was the last time that they had it, but nevertheless, it was a long time coming, but definitely it was an exciting All-Star weekend. The game, I'll get into that in just a little bit, but overall, the All-Star Saturday festivities and, of course, the parties and also the other activities that they had last weekend in Indianapolis was truly outstanding. Didn't hear anything about any incidents or things of that nature, so that was really good that people that travel near and far and from around the world to take part in the NBA All-Star festivities in Indianapolis. And certainly that city and the state of Indiana have a long, storied history with the game of basketball, and it really showed last weekend with the NBA All-Star festivities in Indianapolis. My next storyline is going to be NBA All-Star Saturday night. The highlight of the NBA All-Star Saturday night, in my opinion, of course, the three-point contest. Damian Lillard, Trae Young, Karl Anthony Towns, Tyrese Halliburton, Lauri Markkanen, Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, and Malik Beasley were all participants in this year's three-point contest. And I tell you one thing, both rounds were outstanding, including the tiebreaker with Lillard and Halliburton. And then the final round was outstanding with Lillard, Young, and Towns, with Damian Lillard winning this year's three-point contest. As a matter of fact, Damian Lillard, he won last year, and again, he's a repeat champion, so congratulations to Dame Dollar. So many great events that we had, the Stephen versus Sabrina contest. We had Stephen Curry going up against Sabrina Ionescu. That was an entertaining event. I hope they can continue this. Maybe, hopefully, we'll see Stephen versus Sabrina next year. Maybe this could be an ongoing thing for the NBA All-Star Saturday festivities. Stephen beat Sabrina by 3 points, 29-26. Both players shot from the NBA three-point line. Curry used NBA-sized basketballs. Sabrina used WNBA-sized basketballs. That was exciting. It was entertaining. If you didn't have the chance to watch it, urge you to watch it on the various streaming platforms. It was indeed outstanding. Wasn't too bad of a skills challenge that we had. Of course, you had team top pick, which was Paolo Banchero, Anthony Edwards, and Victor Wembanyama, going up against team all-stars Scotty Barnes, Tyrese Maxey, and Trae Young. And then we had Team Pacers, which represented the home team Indiana Pacers, with Benedict Mathurin, Miles Turner, and Tyrese Halliburton. And they did it for the hometown. The hometown team wound up winning the skills challenge. Tyrese Halliburton, Benedict Mathurin, and Miles Turner, they would go on to win the skills challenge. Also, we had the Rising Stars Challenge, where we had Team Jalen, coached by Jalen Rose, would beat Team Detlef, which was coached by Detlef Schrempf. And Team Jalen would win the Rising Stars Challenge. And on that team was Chet Holmgren, Derek Lively II. Also, we had Jeremy Sohan, Jalen Williams, Benedict Mathurin, also Jordan Hawkins, and Walker Kessler. Shaedon Sharpe was on that team, but he did not play due to injury. And, of course, the celebrity game that took place on that Friday night, where we had Team Shannon, coached by Shannon Sharpe, going up against Team Stephen A., which is head coached by Stephen A. Smith, and Team Shannon would beat Team Stephen A. 100-91. And Micah Parsons did his thing, 37 points, 16 rebounds. Micah, again, had a tough year with the Dallas Cowboys. It was a good year for the Cowboys, but it ended on a very sour note. But if this gives any brownie points or any bonus points for him, definitely being the leading scorer on Team Shannon and doing his part in the NBA All-Star Weekend Celebrity Game, as he helped Team Shannon. We're going to be Team Stephen A. 100-91. So, and then we had the slam dunk contest with Jaylen Brown from the Boston Celtics, Jacob Toppin from the New York Knicks, Jaime Jaquez Jr. from the Miami Heat, and Mac McClung from Osceola Magic in the NBA G League. And just like Damian Lillard repeats as three-point champion, Mac McClung, he repeats as the slam dunk contest champion. Again, solid dunks, nice dunks. Again, slam dunk contest, not the same feel as it was back in the day. I'll get into all of that in just a little bit, but Mac McClung, he repeats as the slam dunk contest champion, winning it last year in the All-Star festivities in Salt Lake City, and this year he repeats as champion in Indianapolis. And then for my last storyline, the NBA All-Star Game. Wow, I can remember it like it was yesterday. The NBA All-Star Game. Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, Isaiah Thomas, Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, Shaquille O'Neal, Tim Duncan, Allen Iverson, Ray Allen, just to name a few. Those gentlemen that I mentioned played in some iconic and some classic all-star games. And those games were for ones in the record books. And for those of you that are listening to this show and can go back and watch film footage on the streaming platforms, there's games of NBA all-star games from the 60s and the 70s that are very competitive and with high intensity, with names such as Billy Cunningham, Earl Monroe, Wes Unseld, Willis Reed, Jerry Lucas, Jerry West, Oscar Robertson, Bill Russell, John Havlicek, just to name a few. This year's NBA All-Star Game, it returned to the old format of Eastern Conference versus Western Conference. For a while, they had been using the old format where it was team such and such versus team such and such, and the players would draft their respective players on the night of the NBA All-Star Game. So they went back from Western Conference to Eastern Conference, and let's just say that there was no effort, no defense, none whatsoever. The Eastern Conference did beat the Western Conference 211-186. I'm not making this up, folks. I did not stutter. Eastern Conference beat the Western Conference 211-186. It was the first time in NBA All-Star Game history that a team reached the 200-point mark. Damian Lillard would be this year's All-Star Game MVP. And I'll get into all the stats and the numbers and all that stuff a little bit later, but they have to do away with this game. The NBA All-Star Game, some of the players and the gentlemen that I mentioned made it a game. It was an All-Star Game, and it used to be an honor to play in an All-Star Game. You represent the best of the best, the creme de la creme, the cream of the crop. Being an NBA All-Star back in those days, whether it be the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, up into the 2000s, you played in an NBA All-Star Game, it meant everything. It was basically the world, because that meant that you were the best of the best, and you were respected by your peers. This year's All-Star Game, it was just like a scrimmage. I'll be honest. It looked there were games, a rec league game or an intramural game was more competitive than this year's All-Star Game. Me personally, I think they need to do away with the game and just have the All-Star Saturday night and maybe revamp some things and maybe add some other events to the All-Star Saturday night, but this was not good at all. And similar for what the NFL did and got rid of the Pro Bowl game and just have skills competitions, I think the NBA is going to be on the verge of doing that, just getting rid of the All-Star game. You can have All-Star rosters, but they're going to have to make it turn into what the NFL is doing and just maybe spread it out to a 2-day event and maybe have the All-Star skills competitions as well as the three-point shootout and so on and so forth. But they've got to do better. They have to do better with this All-Star game. And that takes care of my top 3 storylines. We're recapping this year's NBA All-Star game and the weekend. All right, so I mentioned earlier about the slam dunk contest. So the slam dunk contest, again, it was Jaylen Brown with the Boston Celtics, Jacob Toppin from the New York Knicks, and then Jaime Jaquez Jr. from the Miami Heat. Similar to this year's NBA All-Star game, the slam dunk contest has lost its luster. Dunks were decent. Dunks you would see in a typical NBA game. Nothing fancy, but Mac McClung, he held his own, and he did enough to get the job done, and he would go on to repeat as this year's slam dunk champion. The slam dunk contest has just got to go. That has to go, too, along with the NBA All-Star game. You can replace the slam dunk contest by adding more skills-like competitions or more contests in this as a part of the All-Star weekend festivities. Slam dunk contest: Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Dr. J, Kenny Walker, Harold Miner, Isaiah Ryder. Who could forget half man, half amazing Vince Carter, right? Who could forget Jason Richardson, Dominique Wilkinson, Spud Webb? Those are some of the gentlemen that have won the slam dunk contest. Heck, people talk the three-point contest has been the highlight of the All-Star Saturday festivities, gosh, for I would say close to 3 decades now, but I remember clearly before that, people got excited for the slam dunk contest. When people say slam dunk contest, it was must-see TV. Jordan, Wilkins, Kobe, Harold Miner, J.R. Reiner. Who could forget D. Brown, right? D. Brown, slam dunk champion. Cedric Ceballos with the blindfold dunk. Dr. J, amazing dunks. That was must-see TV. Let's just say the slam dunk contest for the last several decades has been TV we don't want to see. Lack of creativity in the dunks, Pete's. Some things just lose its luster, and it's just really time to move on from the slam dunk contest unless the NBA can come up with something maybe to revive the dunk contest. I know LeBron James, he flirted with the idea of being in the slam dunk contest. He was asked a couple of years. He was actually asked several years in a row if he would be in the contest, and he made it public that he would be in the contest. Well, the following year came, and he was nowhere to be found. But they're going to have to do something, either get rid of it or they're going to have to find some way to revamp it. It's just atrocious and just ridiculous. But anyway, Mac McClung was the winner of the slam dunk contest, being a repeat champion. In the first round, his score was 97.4, and in the final round, his score was 98.8. As I stated earlier, we had the first ever Stephen versus Sabrina contest with Stephen Curry of the Golden State Warriors going up against Sabrina Ionescu from the New York Liberty. Stephen would win 29-26. Damian Lillard handled his business, winning the three-point contest. He's a repeat champion, winning it last year. The NBA Skills Challenge, where we had Team Pacers with Tyrese Halliburton, Benedict Mathurin, and Miles Turner representing the Indiana Pacers. They would win. In the Rising Stars Challenge, we had Team Jalen, led by Jalen Rose. They would win the Rising Stars Challenge. And we had the Celebrity Game with Team Shannon, led by Shannon Sharp, beating Team Stephen A. with Stephen A. Smith 100-91. So that was basically, and of course we had the NBA All-Star Game, I guess, a.k.a. the scrimmage, so to speak. Damian Lillard wound up winning the All-Star Game MVP. He scored 39 points. Also, Jaylen Brown scored 36 points. Tyrese Halliburton finished with 32 points. Giannis Antetokounmpo finished with 23 points. Jason Tatum had 20 points. Scotty Barnes had 16 points. Jalen Brunson had 12 points. And Tyrese Maxey had 10 points. Meanwhile, on the losing end for the Western Conference, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 31 points. Karl Anthony Towns finished with 50 points. Kevin Durant had 18 points. Nikola Jokic finished with 13 points. Stephen Curry finished with 16 points. Devin Booker finished with 15 points. And Paul George finished with 13 points. So again, the final score was the Eastern Conference 211, the Western Conference 186. All right, also some things to pass along to you that were said in the media presser during last weekend's NBA All-Star Weekend in Indianapolis. Jaylen Brown. First, it was Tyrese Halliburton. Now it's Jaylen Brown. Jaylen had his own thoughts about the 65-game minimum rule. Again, for those of you that may not be familiar with it, as a part of the NBA's current collective bargaining agreement, the 65-game minimum rule is basically the rule where if players want to qualify for end-of-season awards such as MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, all NBA teams, etc., they have to compete. They have to play in a minimum of 65 regular season games, and they must play at least over 20 minutes to qualify. And again, as I stated before, all players should play the 82 games. That's just my take on it. Unless you have a nagging injury or a serious injury, you should play all 82 games. But when I heard him say that with the collective bargaining agreement, it would be 65 games, I said they should at least bump it up to 70 games. Nevertheless, Jaylen Brown from the Boston Celtics says he doesn't like the rule. He says that, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said that the games, the minimum should be much lower than 65. Jaylen Brown, this past offseason, signed the richest contract in the history of the NBA. He signed a 5-year, $304 million extension. That is a lot of paper. That is a lot of change. That is a lot of lettuce. And for him to say this now, again, I don't want to get too political or get too involved in economics in this program, but there are people that are blue-collar, working-class, people that are living in small towns across the United States and even around the world that are working factory jobs that are coming from blue-class, meager, humble beginnings, and they have to get up and go to work and earn a paycheck. As they say, by hook or crook, no matter how you're feeling, whether you have the common cold or whatever is ailing you, you got to go up, you got to get up, go to work, and make it happen. There's no negotiations where they can say, well, I'll work Monday, Tuesday, I'm going to sit out Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. They can do that, but it's going to hurt their paycheck. Jaylen Brown is going to get paid regardless. Jaylen Brown can play in the next 2, 3, or even 4 games because he's resting. Jaylen Brown is still going to get a paycheck. You know who loses out on this? The fans. Hard-working people in tough economic times. We've been in a dire straits in terms of our economy. And let's not talk about if you have a family of 3 or a family of 5 or even a bigger family than that. And God forbid, depends on what NBA city you're living in. You could be living in the South. You could be living in the Midwest and East Coast, West Coast again. At the end of the day, the fans lose. The fans pay their hard-earned money. They pay for those high-priced tickets, and they should enjoy the NBA experience. They're paying for parking. They're paying to put gas in the car. They're paying, some cities, you can take public transportation to the venues. They're paying for bus passes, a bus fare to get to the venues, not to mention the kids or even adults, teenagers, children. They get hungry. You want to eat? There's some adults that want to partake in adult beverages. we want to pay for that as well, have not had the opportunity to negotiate and say, well, I'm not coming to work today. You don't have to come to work today. You just lose out on money on your paycheck. Jaylen Brown continues to reap the benefits and reap a harvest from that paycheck. He still gets paid. He's load managing. He still gets paid. So he's complaining about the 65-game minimum rule. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. And then these players have the opportunity to, they have so many opportunities where the franchises have made opportunities and have given them so much leeway in terms of accessibility. They have access to world-class chefs. They have access to masseuses and massage therapists. They have access to just about anything and everything. The teams have catered to these players. They can have just about anything that they want. Private jets. They don't have to fly commercial. They have private jets, easy access. Something's got to give with this. I don't know. Something's got to give. But Jaylen made his comments. He let it be known that he doesn't like the 65-game minimum rule. So him, along with Tyrese Halliburton, frustrations about it. I mean, if you want to be honest about it, I personally think that it should be at least 70 games. If you want to come up with a rule or anything like that, it's got to be at least 70 games. That's just my take on that. All right, so we've taken care of business on that. Now it's time to give you the current league leaders in the association. Let's start off with points per game. The current leading scorer in the NBA is Luka Doncic from the Dallas Mavericks. He's averaging 34 points per game. Coming in at number 2, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander from the Oklahoma City Thunder. He's averaging 31 points per game. Coming in at number 3 is Giannis Antetokounmpo from the Milwaukee Bucks. At number 4 is Donovan Mitchell from the Cleveland Cavaliers. And at number 5 is Kevin Durant from the Phoenix Suns. Next category is going to be rebounds per game. At number 1, Domantas Sabonis from the Sacramento Kings. He's averaging 13 rebounds a game. Coming in at number 2 is Rudy Gobert from the Minnesota Timberwolves. Then tied for third, Anthony Davis from the Los Angeles Lakers, and Nikola Jokic from the Denver Nuggets. And in fifth, we have Jalen Duren from the Detroit Pistons. Next category is field goal percentage. At number 1, Daniel Gafford from the Dallas Mavericks. He's shooting 68% from the field. At number 2, Jakob Poeltl from the Toronto Raptors. He's shooting 66% from the field. Tied for third, Rudy Gobert and Ivica Zubac from the Los Angeles Clippers. And in fifth, Jared Allen from the Cleveland Cavaliers. Next category is going to be assists per game. At number 1, Tyrese Halliburton from the Indiana Pacers. He's averaging currently close to 12 assists per game. At number 2, Trae Young from the Atlanta Hawks. At number 3, Luka Doncic. At number 4, Nikola Jokic. And at number 5, Domantas Sabonis. Next category is steals per game. At number 1, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's averaging 2 steals per game. At number 2, Donovan Mitchell. At number 3, De'Aaron Fox from the Sacramento Kings. At number 4, Kawhi Leonard from the Los Angeles Clippers. And at number 5, Matisse Thybulle from the Portland Trail Blazers. Next category is blocks per game. At number 1, Victor Wembanyama from the San Antonio Spurs. He's averaging 3 blocks per game. At number 2, Walker Kessler from the Utah Jazz. At number 3, Brook Lopez from the Milwaukee Bucks. At number 4, Chet Holmgren from the Oklahoma City Thunder. And at number 5, Anthony Davis. Next category is going to be free throw percentage. Tied for first, Damian Lillard from the Milwaukee Bucks and Stephen Curry from the Golden State Warriors. Coming in third, representing the Golden State Warriors, Klay Thompson. At number 4, Anthony Simons from the Portland Trail Blazers. And at number 5, Bogdan Bogdanovic from the Atlanta Hawks. Next category is going to be three-pointers made. At number 1, Stephen Curry from the Golden State Warriors. At number 2, Luka Doncic. Tied for third, Paul George from the Los Angeles Clippers. And we also have Trae Young. And then at number 5, it's Trae's teammate from the Hawks, Bogdan Bogdanovic. Next category, three-point percentage. At number 1, Grayson Allen from the Phoenix Suns. He's shooting 48% from three-point range. At number 2, Jalen Williams from the Oklahoma City Thunder. At number 3, Norman Powell from the Los Angeles Clippers. At number 4, Aaron Nesmith from the Indiana Pacers. And at number 5, Kawhi Leonard from the Los Angeles Clippers. And the last category that we have is minutes played. At number 1, from the Chicago Bulls, DeMar DeRozan. He's averaging close to 38 minutes per game. At number 2, Luka Doncic. At number 3, Tyrese Maxey from the Philadelphia 76ers. At number 4, Miles Bridges from the Charlotte Hornets. And at number 5, Kevin Durant from the Phoenix Suns. And it takes care of your current league leaders in the association. All right, let's get now to the current standings in the association. So let's start off with the Eastern Conference. Number 1, the Boston Celtics. They have a record of 44 wins and 12 losses. Coming in at number 2, the Cleveland Cavaliers. They have a record of 36 and 19. Coming in at number 3, the Milwaukee Bucks. They have a record of 36 and 21. Coming in at number 4 are the New York Knicks. They have a record of 34 and 22. Coming in 5th are the Philadelphia 76ers with a record of 33 and 23. At number 6, the Indiana Pacers. They have a record of 32 and 25. Coming in 7th are the Miami Heat, followed in 8th by the Orlando Magic. In 9th are the Chicago Bulls. In 10th are the Atlanta Hawks, followed by the Brooklyn Nets, then the Toronto Raptors. Then we have the Charlotte Hornets, then the Washington Wizards, and in last place in the Eastern Conference are the Detroit Pistons. Let's move over now to the Western Conference. Currently at number 1, the Minnesota Timberwolves. They have a record of 39 and 17. Coming in at number 2 with the same record are the Oklahoma City Thunder. In 3rd place, the Los Angeles Clippers with a record of 37 and 18. Coming in 4th are the Denver Nuggets with a record of 38 and 19. Coming in 5th are the red-hot New Orleans Pelicans. They have a record of 34 and 23. In 6th are the Dallas Mavericks with a record of 33 and 23. Coming in 7th are the Sacramento Kings, followed in 8th place by the Phoenix Suns. In 9th are the Los Angeles Lakers. In 10th place are the Golden State Warriors, followed by Utah, Houston, Memphis, Portland, and in last place in the Western Conference are the San Antonio Spurs. All right, so that takes care of our league leaders and our standings. And before we get on out of here, let's give you some of the most important games to watch out for in this upcoming NBA week. So on Sunday, February the 25th, we have a good one between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Philadelphia 76ers, followed by the Los Angeles Lakers and the Phoenix Suns. Then there's the Dallas Mavericks going up against the Indiana Pacers. We've also got the Denver Nuggets going up against the Golden State Warriors. Also, it's going to be a good one between the Chicago Bulls and the New Orleans Pelicans. And then we have the Sacramento Kings going up against the Los Angeles Clippers. On Monday, February the 26th, we've got a good one between the Miami Heat and the Sacramento Kings, followed by the Brooklyn Nets and the Memphis Grizzlies, and the Toronto Raptors going up against the Indiana Pacers. Tuesday, February the 27th, got a real good one between the Brooklyn Nets and the Orlando Magic, followed by Dallas and Cleveland. Then got a good one in Midtown Manhattan between, we should say, the Big Easy versus the Big Apple, with the New Orleans Pelicans going up against the New York Knicks. We've also got a good one, the Miami Heat and the Portland Trail Blazers, and also the Houston Rockets going up against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And we have a rivalry game with the Philadelphia 76ers and the Boston Celtics. You know about those two teams, right? Bird, Barkley, Moses, Dr. J, McHale, Parrish, Iverson, Paul Pierce. The list goes on and on. Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen. I mean, what more can you say, right? That the 76ers and the Celtics, it's never been a dull moment in that rivalry. And then we've got games on Wednesday, February the 28th, where we have the Dallas Mavericks going up against the Toronto Raptors. Also got New Orleans going up against Indiana. Then we have Cleveland going up against Chicago. And then we've got the Battle of L.A. with the Lakers and the Clippers. And then we've got the Kings going up against the Nuggets. Thursday, February the 29th, Got a real good one between the Warriors and the Knicks. Always exciting with Steph and the crew going to the Big Apple to take on Jalen Brunson and the New York Knicks. Also, a good one between the Miami Heat and the Denver Nuggets. And then on Friday, March the 1st, got some really good games with the Warriors and the Raptors, followed by the Mavericks and the Celtics. Also have the Bucks and the Bulls, Pacers and the Pelicans, and then we got a good one between the Kings and the Timberwolves. So that's just some of the most important games to look out for this upcoming week in the NBA. So as I stated earlier on, we're now in the second half of the year, so now a lot of teams are going to be fighting hard and making that playoff push because, hey, there's never a dull moment in the NBA. Well, the All-Star game was a dull moment, but hey, as we get closer to the playoffs and we're beginning the second half of the NBA season, hopefully a lot of teams and the players will definitely make up for what happened with the All-Star game. But thank you again for joining me on this another exciting edition of At the Rim. I'm your host, Ed Robinson, and until next time, everybody, so long, and you take care.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Remember to click like, share, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.